So full disclosure, well, first full disclosure, we're not actually finished setting the shed up yet, but I let the girls in because it's chilly out, and well, I didn't want to stand out in the cold, and yeah, they just walked right in here, and that never happens. So they are, like, I don't know, I guess they're ready to come in. They never want to come in willingly. Well, hello everyone and welcome back. This is Shayna with Lucky M Boer Goats, and we're going to be covering, hopefully this isn't a long video today, but we're going to be covering some stuff regarding kidding. We're right there. We've been slacking. The shed is not ready, and it's getting there. It needs to be like the final step set up, but yeah, we are right there, and we're ready to roll. The first girl, Misty, is the first one officially due in, well, today's Sunday, and she is due on Tuesday. And so it could be, my guess, I have a really strong feeling about Wednesday. I really think we're going to get some kids on Wednesday. But I could be wrong. And I apologize for the vibration behind me. Like I said, the wind, it's wicked chilly out today, for it supposedly not being chilly out, but it is chilly out. And so there's a lot of vibrating noises going on behind me. I also want to take a minute to
point out the noise, as she just said, because she was Christmas shopping yesterday. And now she's wearing a winter coat.
Oh,
but if we would have went Christmas shopping today, I could have worked in the nice weather.
It was supposed to be nice today, too.
Yeah, well,
I can't predict these things.
And grain marketers are right 5%.
Yeah. Anyway, I wanted to take a minute because I haven't yet to thank Jason and Brooke Gleason from Clear Creek Farms. It was so kind of them. They were gifted a new mic, if that's what you call it, and they they were just so kind and thought of us to just send us their old one that they used to use, and it works so well because, as many of you know that watch really any of my videos, my audio can just be total junk, and this phone is not old enough for my audio to be total junk, but it is total junk, and so this is so greatly appreciated. Thank you so much for finding it in your heart to send it to us. Send it to us for free. We just appreciate it so much. So again, thank you so much, Jason and Brooke. Hopefully sometime in the next year we actually get to meet you at a show somewhere along the line, but again, I cannot say thank you enough. So again, thank you. But anyway, so what I'm going to be covering today is we're going to meet these first couple girls, and I think Brandon has said it in another video that I best laid plans. I had my girls, I had them perfectly picked as to what group they were going to be in, why they were in that group, based on personality, what brain fart, the registration percent of their kids, all of that. I had it picked out. We do it all natural here. It's not that we're against anything else. That's the easiest and the cheapest for us to do. And it did not work in my favor this year. Normally it works like a charm, but this year everybody cycled at random times. It got really, really hot really quick here in June. And so it's just going to be like a slow drop of the dominoes through January, early February, as to we'll start here in the next couple days and then we'll just keep rolling. But anyway, that was not what I had planned, but it's too late. So this is just where we are. So I will take you to meet the girls. And then what we're going to talk about today is I'm going to show you some of the signs that I rely on when I'm watching does to go into labor, some of the ones that I have found to be very, very accurate, and others that I'm just more skeptical about. That's all I'll talk about today. And then here in the coming weeks, the kidding videos will start to roll. So let's go meet the does. Okay, so I'm not going to lie. 2 of these does are not they're super sweet does. They're just skittish. They have to be calmed down. And right now, between the wind and the dogs being in here, they're just skittish. So this is Haley. So between Haley, Peachy here, she's not actually due until the middle of December, but she's really easy going, and so I brought her in here because I knew she wouldn't cause problems. But then there's Misty. Misty's a first timer. So there's Misty, Haley, and then over here we got my favorite, Rebar. She throws just the most gorgeous kids. For any of you that happen to keep up, she gave me Ice this year, and then last year she gave us, oh my goodness, how could I forget that doe's name? She passed away and I can't think of her name right now. But anyway, so these three are due, I mean, they're basically all due the same day. And so I don't know, like I am definitely willing to take bets on who you think is gonna pop first, because I think I have my money on, I really feel like it's gonna be Haley. I really think it's gonna be Haley, and then Rebar, and then Misty. And then Lizzie, she's down there kind of with the December girls. She's actually due December 1st, but she tears everything up, and she's just in general super sweet doe, rough on everything. So I didn't want her to beat the hell out of these does. And so anyway, she isn't in here yet because she's kind of a bully, and I don't want her hurting them in a smaller area. So anyway, let's talk about labor signs. So one of the biggest things that I look for, and I am sure this is probably to a certain extent breed specific, and I'm sure there are people that would argue with me on this. This is just from my experience. Very, very rarely is it wrong. There are always exceptions, but very rarely am I wrong. But the udder is always, to me, the biggest giveaway that we're usually, I mean, we're not even just 24 hours away from labor. We're like hours away from active labor. And so like right now, like Haley here has got a pretty good sized udder, but like that's not a full udder yet. Like it's not full and firm yet. You know, same with Peachy here. Hers is a little bit hard to see because it's red. But like hers, you know, they have udder development. They have good udder development, but there's nothing there, if that makes sense. Like it's not full and ready for babies. And the same here with Rebar. She gets a pretty good, a pretty large engorged udder right before kidding. And so with these girls, that's probably one of my easiest, of my easiest signs to know. I know with Crazy, you can see in last year's video, oh, here comes Lizzie. She's probably coming to beat somebody up. But I don't know, for me, udder development, it really works for me. I know everybody always speaks to ligaments, and I tell you what, ligaments are really, really hard when you don't know what you're feeling for, and until you have figured out that, like, in my experience with ligaments, they're very, very fickle. And what I mean by that, I don't know if Rebar, I don't think she's going to let me touch her ligaments. I can tell they're pretty hollowed out. But like, yeah, she's not interested in being fondled. She knows her time's coming. Here, let's try and do Peaches. Peaches is my super tame one in this group. Even she's like, no, Mom, not today. Okay, so sorry about the poor, trying to hold the camera with one hand. Okay, so right here, like, and she's red, so like this is not going to be easy on her, and obviously she doesn't like it, but right in this place, like even with some does, I don't remember it being that way with Peaches last year, but with some of them, you almost don't even have to touch their ligaments to see it. They will just get really, really hollowed out in that spot before they kid. Now again, that is without touching their ligaments. That's probably one of the least reliable things I could say, because the purpose of ligaments is really to tell you that they're within 24 hours of labor. And by just looking at them, like I know Rebar here is a really, and I don't think the video is going to do her justice, but like she's not in labor right now, not anytime, not tonight anyway, but like she's hollowed out there, but I am not, she's just not in labor. So yeah, you can look and tell that they're starting to hollow out, but she's just not to that point for other reasons. Now, Peachy here, so I remember when I was first looking at ligaments, I was so confused. Okay, so like they're right here on her. Oh, terrible camera. Okay, they're right here on her, and they run at like a 45-degree angle. Okay, I thought it'd be easier if I just speak to you. But where I touched her at, they run from like a 45-degree angle from her tailbone down to her sort of pins. That's about how I could describe it. I don't know if that's the most accurate description, but you know them when they feel them. They're hard, and the best description I've ever heard is they are about the size and the feel of like a pencil on either side. So you'll know when you run your fingers on either side of their tail, or I shouldn't say their tail, that's not right, their spine, the back part of their spine, like the top of their tail head. You'll feel it's open, and first you won't feel anything because you'll think like, oh yeah, her ligaments are gone, and then suddenly you'll feel them. And so my best suggestion, if you're trying to use ligaments as your go-to, my best suggestion would be get a doe that's still a couple weeks out from kidding and get your hands on her, because those ligaments are still going to be hard and a lot easier to find. Like I could probably tell just by looking at rebar, and this is her third kidding, and so I'm going to guess hers are really, oh yeah, I checked her like 5 days ago. Hers were soft. They were still there. One was a lot softer than the other, but she still had time. Like it wasn't going to be that night, and like I would be shocked if it were tonight, and I haven't even touched her. But my point is, sorry, I feel like I'm rambling, that if you can feel those ligaments at all, and this is the part, I think this is the kicker that people get hung up on. I know that's what I got hung up on too, is that if you can feel those ligaments at all, they are not close to labor. Now, with that said, this is why, for me, chasing goats around trying to check their ligaments, it's just not the best. I don't rely on it. I don't rely on it too heavily, because those ligaments, they can go, like, let's say I come out here, I was using ligaments, I checked on her tonight, her ligaments were soft but still there, and I left and didn't come back out till morning. Her ligaments could have easily gone a few hours later after I'd gone inside, and she would be in labor before morning. And so my point is, if that's the only thing you're using, you can't be deceived, because ligaments don't set, sorry, thought I saw somebody pull in. Ligaments don't set an accurate timeline by any stretch of the imagination, but they just give you an idea that, okay, labor has started even if she's not in active labor yet. I'm going back into the shed because it's really chilly out tonight, or tonight, whatever time it is. Anyway, and so it's a good guide if you have does that will let you get your hands on them, then it's definitely a good guide. You can get familiar with it. And like I said, I had one doe last year, I want to say it was Lizzie. She lost her ligaments, and like it took her, everything I've always heard is like ligaments, 24 hours, you're going to have kids on the ground. Within 24 hours, you're going to have kids on the ground. And yeah, it took her like 26 hours. Like she was pushing the envelope, and I'm like, goat, you're making me feel crazy because I know your ligaments are gone. Why are you not in labor? And so anyway, like I said, it's not, I don't know, those ligaments to me, for me, the one thing that's consistently been a for sure, but granted, I'm out here every few hours this time of year, so it's easier for me. I know that it's not that way for everybody, but when you see that sudden utter development and that sudden engorgement, it's like, yeah, okay, this is definitely labor. Like we are going to have babies soon. And again, even last year, I had a doe, I think it was like 8 or 10 hours after her udder really came in that she finally went into labor. So even then, that's not like it's happening immediately. These are just signs. This is labor. All the women that are watching this know you can read into every sign in the world. That doesn't mean that labor is imminent. So I'm just trying to give helpful clues to cue you in on the possibility that labor is soon. Soon could be within 30 minutes. Soon could be within 24 plus hours. But anyway, so there's that. There's the ligaments. I feel like I did a video on this at some other point, but now it's escaping me if I did or not. But anyway, there is, what are some other things? Oh, behavior. Behavior is an easy one. Especially if you know your does. If you look out the window or walk outside and one is just standing off to herself, if she's just calling out to nothing, there are no babies. I will have some that'll start talking to their side. They'll start talking to their belly when they're in labor. And I should specify that there are different stages of labor. So just because a doe is in labor does not mean that she is in active labor, like active pushing labor. There are stages to labor, and until that doe is laying down pushing, you could just be seeing the early stages that the, chemical hormonal process of labor has begun. But anyway, so, if she's off away from the group, if she, like I have one doe, one horn does it every time, hates everybody's guts the rest of the year. I just had a young lady out looking at goats yesterday, and that doe that doesn't like anybody came right up to her to let her scratch her head. And that doe does not like anybody, and she's just like a month and a half away from kidding, and that's a sign that one horn is getting close to kidding, because she becomes very friendly, very friendly. Then the second she kids, she wants to kill you. But anyway, watch their behavior. Their behavior will change. There will be cues like that. Now, granted, I should say that was a poor example in that situation, because she still has a month and a half until she kids. She just gets like this. But anyway, behavior changes if they become suddenly friendly or standoffish or skittish or more aggressive. We had a doe a few years ago, very standoffish doe. The morning that she went into labor was just beating the heck out of all the other does for no reason. And it dawned on me, I'm like, I wonder if she's in labor. And then it was just a few hours later she went into labor. So behavior changes, that's kind of an easy one, because if you have a doe that shows exceptionally different behavior, then it's super easy to know that she's in labor. Not all of them are like that. And so I won't get too far into this subject, because this really is a video all on its own. I don't think I've ever made a video on how to assist or when to assist when a goat's in labor. I just don't know. I just have the way that I do things, and that does not make it right. That's just the way that I do things. And so I'm very hesitant on some subjects to speak to them 100%, like to make their own dedicated video, because not everybody does it the same way, and my way does not make it right. So I will just, I'll just give you the bits and pieces of how I do things once I know that a goat's in labor. I'll keep an eye on her. So let's say that she starts to have streaming is what they call it. So it's usually like an opaque white. It's not just like right now I have does that have dirty butts right now because they have mucus. That's totally normal. The plug that plugs the cervix will continually regenerate itself throughout pregnancy. For them to have mucus, as long as it's normal colored mucus, it's just mucus. It doesn't matter. Once they start streaming, and so that's when you have a pretty consistent string of mucus coming out. Well, that means that labor has started. Now she's not. You can't assume that she's pushing. Most of my does, I'm around from beginning to end, so I usually know, when their udders suddenly came in, or when the streaming started, or any of those things. And so, for me, I can watch from beginning to end. But I start watching for her to settle into contractions and settle into actual hard active labor. And so what that means is that I'm watching to see when she lays down and starts pushing. And then once she starts pushing, and even then there's a gray area there, because some does, they'll lay down, they'll give a push, not quite ready, get back up, walk around a little bit, lay back down. To me, I'm not convinced. Now, if she's been doing that for a couple hours, now I'm starting to get very, very concerned, because even with that, unless it's a first timer, I probably shouldn't, not everybody would agree with this, but I probably would go in after 45 minutes just to see, is the kid positioned right? With one horn last year, she gave me triplet girls, and that goat could cough her babies out. I mean, she shoots her babies out without a problem. She's an excellent mother. I never had a problem with her. She was in not what I would have called active labor, but I know her behavior, and I knew something was wrong, because she doesn't even have to push. Them kids just come out. She is a big, beautiful, she is the type of doe that you want in your herd. And after maybe it was even 30 minutes, I was like, something's wrong, because she should have been done by now. And I got in there, and one of the babies was turned in a C shape or U shape, whatever you want to call it, with the spine to her cervix, to the exit. And it was, and I don't know how that would have ended if I wouldn't have been here. And so what I'm getting at is that find your groove. This is kind of turned into like its own separate video, I'm sorry. But find your groove, get to know your animals, understand the stages of delivery, of labor, and then you just, some of these things are just hard to explain until you've done them. But when it comes to labor, settling in and out, trying to get comfortable, that can only go on for so long until I'm just not convinced that it's okay. And then not everybody's okay with this. This is where you get into like some heated discussions with people, but or at least online. I don't participate. I just watch with some popcorn and laugh because some of these discussions get kind of ridiculous. But I go in and check. I would rather know that. And I have small hands, which is probably why I don't hesitate, because like the kid's head is well bigger than my hand going in, my fist, and so like I'm not worried at all. But I put a glove on, I lube up, I go in and check and make sure they're presenting okay. The pelvis feels right, the cervix feels right, everything feels how it should be. I look at it as I need for her to progress through labor quickly so that she still has energy, so that she remains healthy, so that the babies are healthy and they still have energy, because a hard delivery is hard on everybody, and it does me no good to sit back and watch for 8 hours and just hope that it works out. I don't mean to sound inappropriate, but Mother Nature does beautiful things. Mother Nature can also be a cruel bitch. And so like sometimes you got to step in and help, because if you're there and you know it's happening, there's no reason just to step in and see, just to make sure that everything is going the way it should. And I don't know if I've ever said this before. I am a person that I am also very aware of their stamina, because they have to get up and nurse and take care of those kids. And I can't expect them to push and be in duress for hours on end and then still be able to get up and do what they're supposed to do when sometimes they have 2 or 3 kids. And so anyway, this video is not where I intended it to go, so I'm sorry if I probably should have made this its own video. But so this is, I guess maybe that's how I should have prefaced this, is this is a warning. This is how I do things in my videos. This is what you'll see. I'll probably give this warning again with the first kitting video or the first couple of the season, that I really should have brought the camera stand, because this sucks holding my phone. My husband was right. I should have brought it. But anyway, that I am very hands-on. I am very involved. I more than anything want nature to take its course, and I want them to just fall out and pop up, and for me have to do as little as possible. And most of the time that is what happens. In my videos you'll probably see me interfere a lot, just to make sure that things are moving quickly and smoothly, everybody's okay. Mom's okay, babies are okay. Not everybody does it like that, and that's totally okay. It's their farm, it's their business. That's how I do things on our farm. We have I don't know, I feel that's why we have a really high, what would be the opposite of that? We have a really, really low death rate, a really high, I'm having a brain fart, I can't think of it. Anyway, so you will see me intervene, honestly, probably with all of them to some extent, to check to make sure all the kids are out, to make sure if things aren't moving quickly enough, I'll just step in and just make sure things feel how they should, stuff like that. And so anyway, once I see the streaming, that's where I got off track with this. I give them, that's when I really start watching them. I mean, once, honestly, in my very personal opinion, I feel that once the streaming starts, like, labor is going to be happening. Like, labor shouldn't take 6 hours from that point, even if they're not in active labor. Once the point, I mean, I feel weird even saying 3 or 4 hours after streaming starts. I mean, that is the sign that labor has truly kicked off. Like, it is time. And that's when I start getting suspicious. The one caveat is first timers. First timers just tend to take a little bit longer in general. Not all, but some. So anyway, I'm rambling in circles. Now, for sure, once you see a bag come out, then there needs to be, like, that baby is moving into position or trying to move into position. Like, they are trying to make their grand entrance to the world, and it should not take 6 hours. So, like, that is a Big no. Once mom sits down and starts giving the real pushes, for sure, and if I don't even suspect there's a problem, there needs to be steady, consistent progress made, in my opinion, within 30 minutes. I start getting really, really antsy if I don't start seeing something happening faster than that. Now, some people are going to tell you a couple hours. Some people tell you 45 minutes. Some people will tell you shouldn't intervene at all. This is just how we do it. Or I should say how I do it. I guess Brandon doesn't do it. But yeah, so after that, once the sac comes out, then yeah, it's about 30 minutes. I start getting a little antsy if things haven't progressed. And yeah, I mean, we could get all into that. I thought about making a video on how to revive a down kid, like a down newborn kid. I may end up doing something like that. But even then, man, like I can't remember who it was. I had somebody argue with me about putting them directly in the water. I can't remember who that was. But it's like, well, works for us. So until it stops working for us, that's what I'm going to do. But anyway, I was going to add some pregnancy toxemia stuff into this, but I feel like this video's gone on for quite a while. So I don't know if that's something you'd like me to chatter on about for a little bit in another video. I could do that, but otherwise, yeah, I mean, we're going to start rolling babies out here. I am not emotionally prepared for this. But anyway, with that, you met the first couple does. Like I said, in a perfect world, we would have had, it was 3 groups of 7, 3 groups of 8. How many does do we have? I don't know, something like that. And that's just not how it happened. Once we get through these first couple, then they're just like all just kind of splattered out over the next. It's like 1 a week for the next, or maybe there's 2 some weeks, like through till February. So in its own way, that's kind of torturous because I just like it to groups to roll. But I guess that's just how it works. So anyway, yeah, I didn't exactly get through everything I said I would in this video. If you want pregnancy toxemia information, I am not an expert. I have my ways. They work for me. I have my reasons. Like anything else, I don't agree with everybody else's reasons, but my stuff works for me. But anyway, yeah, that's all I got. And I'm super excited to share the babies and the videos with you. And hopefully everything goes smoothly and safely. And I wish the same for all of you that are watching this. Hope you is safe. I wish you and bless you with a safe kidding season with lots of healthy babies on the ground and lots of healthy mamas. But with that, we'll catch you in the next video.